Today, I'm going to share with you the foreclosure process from start to end, along with some tips that's going to save you time and money. And we're starting right now. My name is Chris Goff, and welcome to another video. If this is your first time here and you want to learn how to start or grow your real estate investing business, start now by subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss out on anything. So what is a foreclosure? Well, the definition is it's a legal process by which a borrower in default under a mortgage is deprived of his or her interest in the mortgaged property. This usually involves a forced sale of the property at public auction, with the proceeds being applied to the mortgage debt. Essentially, what I'm saying is that the homeowner has failed to make their monthly payments. Now, let's look at the types of foreclosures. The very first one is a judicial. So a court will grant the foreclosure based on a hearing. Next is a non-judicial. The deed of trust beneficiary files a notice of default with the county courthouse based on the power of sale covenant clause in the mortgage. Essentially, a judicial foreclosure means that the lender goes to the court to get a judgment to foreclose on a home, while a non-judicial foreclosure means that the lender does not have to go to court. Every state allows a lender to get a judicial foreclosure, but not every state provides the procedures for a non-judicial foreclosure. To search for the type of foreclosure in your state, you can simply Google it. As a note, some states can follow both ways. Now, depending on the foreclosure type, it can affect the timeline to prevent it. So you definitely need to know this. So the foreclosure clock is ticking. I like to look at it from this point of view. So here, if you look at the type where we have pre-foreclosure, so this means that the homeowner knows that they're behind on payments. They know that they're not going to be able to make the payments, but the proceedings haven't moved forward from the bank. Now, this obviously is the best time to get in with the owner, just the simple fact that they're only probably a couple months behind, which is going to save you a lot of money. Now, these are usually located by advertising or word of mouth, so it's not something, again, that is been made public. This is great if you are, putting a website up that says, hey, how to avoid foreclosure. You get people to go there, opt in, and so forth, and obviously any word of mouth. The dealings, you're going to deal directly with the owner or even potential family members at this point. And some of the advantages, number one, is it's an unadvertised property. Remember, it has not been posted to the public at this point. So you're going to be that first person. And again, you're going to have so many different financing options, from just buying the house out with cash. You could get hard money. You could get a loan on the property just to cash the owner out, as well as maybe doing some creative financing. Then we get to the pre-foreclosure state, and these are going to be located by advertising, again, word of mouth, and then NODs, so notice of defaults. Now it's going to be made public, and you can get that list. Realtors may be another really good way to find these people, because again, you go back to that word of mouth, people are going to understand, hey, this person's in trouble, as well as the person that may be trying to sell the property prior to the auction date, and maybe they can't. So maybe it's the condition of the property and so on. So even a potential realtor could be used to find these deals. Of course, one of the easy ways, REIPro, you can go in and search foreclosures. Now, dealings, again, you're going to be dealing directly with the owner unless the owner is being represented by a realtor and or family members. Some of the advantages, motivated sellers, right? Because now there's a deadline. So once this gets into what we call that pre-foreclosure state, they have that deadline of the auction date. Of course, banks are motivated, and you'll also have financing options like we talked about earlier. Now, if the property gets to REO, it means that nobody bidded for the property at auction and won, and the bank won the property back. So now it becomes a REO, real estate owned. Those properties will eventually get listed on the MLS for sale. Of course, you can use your realtor to help you find those particular properties. Again, you could go into small banks. Big banks, you're not going to be able to walk in and say, hey, I want a list of all your foreclosures. Small local banks, you could do that with. And just the relationship side, think of your power team members, your attorneys, your mortgage brokers, and your realtors, just through that word of mouth, through your relationships about these particular properties. Generally, you're going to deal with a realtor in a bank-owned situation, or REO. Banks, obviously, if they're small, and of course, lenders, if you're going to get financing to purchase this, unless you're just going to pay cash. Some of the advantages, there's no emotions. I mean, the bank owns the property, the homeowner's gone, but the bank is also motivated. Now, for me personally, I really want to be in this pre-foreclosure piece to it. Of course, people do buy properties with the bank being bank owned. And just think about it, everybody that goes through pre-foreclosure doesn't make it a good deal. So, a lot of properties will eventually go to auction and become bank owned. Just the simple numbers don't work from an investing standpoint. But when I'm going to go advertise and look for these properties, this is really where I want to dig in, is the pre-foreclosure state. Now, the easiest and fastest way to search for foreclosures is in REIPro. You can search in all 50 states. You could filter by equity, price, beds, baths, square footage, and more. You're also going to see the auction dates, right? So this is going to be your deadline. So if the county and bank is reporting that auction date, we're going to have it. You're going to be able to see when this property is going up for auction. And if you're working the pre-foreclosure like I do, I want to get it before it actually gets to the auction. You can also send all of your mailers out in REIPro. We make it super easy. If you're not a member of REIPro, you can see the link in the description to learn more, and you can start for free. Now, I like to look at the foreclosure process as a clock. Now, under federal law, the bank usually can't begin the foreclosure until you're more than 120 days past due. And this number could go up to 180 days depending on the bank. This period of time provides most homeowners the time to make up those lost payments. Next, a demand letter is sent. So if a homeowner still doesn't make any of the payments, and if and when this grace period ends, the issue becomes more serious. And the lender may send this demand letter, which is stating that the owner needs to bring the loan current, or they will proceed with the filing of the foreclosure notice at the local court. Now, keep in mind that most banks really don't want to go down this road. They're still willing to work with the homeowner, even if it's just making a payment arrangement or working out something that satisfies the bank. Now the notice of default is filed, which is a public notice that a borrower of a mortgage is in default, and the bank plans to file a lien to seize the collateral. So this is nothing more than a public notice, but from a bank's position, this is the beginning of the legal proceedings. And of course, they're still trying to work with the homeowner during this time. Now, there are two ways that you could purchase a property at this point. First, you can simply set a purchase amount higher than the loan balance, and the seller just sells the property to you. The second way is to structure a seller finance where you make up the back payments. The property is deeded to you, you fix it up, and you resell it at a retail price. Once the back payments are made, this stops the entire foreclosure process, and when you eventually sell, it pays off the homeowner's loan, satisfying the debt. Or you can simply wholesale this deal. You could structure this deal on a cash offer and wholesale it. You could structure this on a seller finance and wholesale the seller finance to another investor. So if you're an investor looking to purchase properties prior to the auction date, this would be the time. Get your marketing out and start working with these homeowners. Now, a short sale. Now, this is part of the process, but it isn't necessarily a part of the process. But a short sale is when a bank is willing to accept less than what is owed on the loan in order to get it off their books. So for an investor, this is the time to make the offer to the seller, even if it's less than what they owe, to see if the bank will approve a short sale on the property. If they will entertain a short sale, ask for a short sale packet and follow the instructions. Now, this doesn't mean that you're going to get a cheap deal, and I promise you, there is nothing short of a short sale regarding time. You generally put up a deposit and you wait until they accept, counter, or decline the offer. If they do accept your offer, the homeowner's credit's only going to be affected for 2 years versus 7 years if it goes to auction. Now it's the auction time. So if the homeowner hasn't made any payments to bring the loan current or made any payment arrangements with the bank, the property will go up for auction to the highest bidder on the courthouse steps. This generally happens the first Tuesday of the month in most counties across the U.S. These auctions can also be held online with a third-party auction company like auction.com. If you're an investor looking to purchase before the auction, it's too late. You'll now either have to place a bid at auction, or if the property becomes bank-owned, you'll need to get with a real estate agent to purchase it. If you do purchase a property at auction, you'll need to check with your state about a redemption period. And with a redemption period, the homeowner has a set amount of time to make up the entire balance and retake possession of the home. So be sure to investigate this before purchasing. Now, the bank makes the starting offer at the auction, and if no one outbids the bank wins the auction and takes the property back. This is what we call bank-owned, or REO, which stands for real estate owned. At this point, the bank owns the property and will eventually have a real estate agent to sell it. If you plan on purchasing bank-owned properties, be sure to get with a local real estate agent. And if you get on their private list, you'll be one of the first people they'll contact even before they list it for sale. But before you get too excited, some properties that get listed for sale, the bank is looking for a first-time home buyer, so they're not going to entertain any other offers, especially from investors. This can last up to 90 days before they turn it over to the public for offers. Once they do, most banks will reduce the price every 30 days. Meanwhile, the bank is paying the insurance, taxes, and upkeep. A lot of people don't know, but when a bank takes a property back, for every dollar they take back, they can't loan out $3 in personal loans, car loans, mortgages, and more. So at the end of the day, everybody loses. The homeowner loses the property and the bank loses a lot of money. So let's look at how foreclosures affect the homeowner side. Let's look before the auction. Now, from a homeowner, from a credit standpoint, remember, they've just missed payments. So yes, it's going to ding their credit. But at this point, you could also help them find a new home. Now, if we look at the short sale, which is going to happen between the pre-foreclosure and the auction, this is going to be 2 years of credit damage. So if the bank accepts the short sale, it's going to ding the homeowner's credit for 2 years. Now, again, you can help them find a new home at this point. But now that we get after the auction, this is going to be 7 years of credit damage. So as you can see, even though a short sale is better than, going through auction, which is going to be 7 years, we really want to focus that before auction period, which is going to help the owner. It's going to save the bank money. It's going to also help you make more money. Now, let's look at some of the things you can do in these different stages. So if we go back to before auction, you could pay cash for the property. And what I mean is you're going to pay in one lump sum. It doesn't have to be your cash. You could get a loan, a hard money loan, a private loan to purchase the property. You could also sell or finance this particular property where you're going to get the owner to deed you the property. You're going to make up the back payments, fix it up, and resell it to a new buyer. And when they purchase that property, it's then going to pay off the existing loan. And then again, you could wholesale any of these two different arrangements. Now, if we get to the short sale, you're going to have to buy it. Once the bank approves the short sale, you're going to have to show proof that you can actually buy this. And again, cash meaning we're just going to pay the bank in one lump sum. After the auction is going to be the exact same thing, right? So it's going to be a bank-owned property at this point. So we are going to have to show proof of funds that we can actually acquire the property. So as you can see, purchasing the property prior to the auction date not only gives you more options to work the deal, but you're also helping the homeowner and the bank. I put a video together that will teach you the first 7 steps to pre-foreclosure investing. You can see that video right here on your screen, and be sure to subscribe right now so you can receive more videos that's going to teach you how to invest in real estate the correct way. And I'll see you on the next training video where you'll learn how to master the first 7 steps to pre-foreclosure investing.